Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's webinar. My name is Jess, and I'm part of the education team here at Xero. Today, we're here to run through some of the changes to our reports and what they mean for you, and also to encourage you to start using Xero's new reports for your business and for your clients' businesses. Now, our new reports do the things that the older reports do, but they contain many new features and customization options, which are designed to make them a better fit for your business and provide a better experience. Now, just before we get started, some housekeeping to run through first of all. So for the best audio and visual experience, we do recommend closing down any applications you may have running in the background. You will also find a control panel on your screen. If you don't see it, give your mouse a wiggle and that will appear at the bottom for you. You'll have the ability to raise your hand. It may be that I ask yourselves a question, get involved, raise your hand. There is a chat option. However, the chat option has been disabled. That's where I'll be sharing some resources with you at the end of the session. So you don't need to worry about that for now. But the one that I do want to call out is, of course, the Q&A. So if you could open up the Q&A for me, it'll surface up a box similar to what you can see on screen. Send over a smiley face or let me know where you're listening in from today, just so I know that you can hear me, you can see my screen, and I know we're off to a good start. Fabulous. I can see we've got Marcella on the line. We've got Linda. We've got Nikki listening in from South Wales. Fantastic. People listening in from Herefordshire, not too far from where I am, Lorna. We've got Lee on the line, Sue, Raymond, Alex, Tracy. Fantastic. Lots and lots of you on today's session, which is great to see. Now that Q&A box is available throughout the entire webinar. So if you have any questions or you're experiencing any technical issues, please do let me know via the Q&A and I'll be more than happy to get those answered for you. Now, the final bit of housekeeping is if you do navigate away from today's session, please don't panic. Simply look for that Zoom camera icon and that will bring you straight back into the webinar, back into the room, as I always say. So let's go over our agenda for today then. Well, we're going to start off by looking at some of the reports in Xero, both old and new reports. And I'll talk a bit about why we've had two versions of our reports for a while. We'll summarize some of those great features of the older reports that you enjoy right now, and then I'll show you how to use the new reports to do all of these things in ways that we think will be easier and more useful for you. I'll then show some of the extra things that the new reports can do for you. Now, we have announced that on the 31st of July 2023, that the old reports will be retired. So there's still a few months to get yourself familiar with the new reports and migrate away from our old reports. And I'm hoping that after today you feel confident in doing so, but do have that date in the back of your mind, the 31st of July, those old reports will be removed. And we'll also cover, what this means for you and what you can do if you're still using those old reports. Okay, then. So first of all, let's look at what reports are currently available to you when it comes to old and new reports. And we're going to jump straight over into Xero and head over to our report summary screen. So we're going to go to accounting and reports. Now, there are currently two versions of many reports. And for example, a key report that we all know and love, the profit and loss. And you can see we have our new report and our old version, or our old report as we're calling it. Now, the Report Center home screen that we are on right now shows the new version by default. So if I scroll down and locate the profit and loss, here is the new version. But you can click into that overflow menu if you would like to. And from there, you are able to see some of the common formats, but also at the bottom, how to view an older version of this report. So why do we have older reports and new reports? Well, Xero developed new reports as a result of your feedback. You know, you told us that the old reports didn't have the flexibility and that customization options that you needed to tailor the information for your business. And as a result, we've really focused on upgrading the technology behind our reports so that we can deliver new features faster than before and give you more freedom to tailor your reports the way you want. You can rename headings, drag and drop accounts and groups, add formulas, extra columns, page breaks, and so much more. And I'm going to show you a lot of those very shortly. Now, in July last year, we announced the retirement of old reports and that they will no longer be available from the 31st of July this year. Now, if you've already published old reports, some of you may have published some reports previously, and you'd be able to see them here. You will still be able to access them, but they will only be from a read-only point of view. So let's head back over then to our slides and let's talk about some of those popular features that we have in old reports. Well, firstly, it was really easy to select different formats for the profit and loss, as you can see along the top highlighted there. We had those helpful green and red arrows that show favourable and unfavourable variances. You told us how easy it is to compare dates with the same period in previous years. And it was easy to show totals and year-to-date on reports like the profit and loss. But also, how quick and simple it is to add a comment to provide info about a particular figure in a report. So those are some of the popular features that you told us you absolutely loved. We want to see those on the new reports. And the good news is we absolutely have all of that functionality on our new reports. So we haven't lost any of that rich value that we had on our classic or old versions of our reports. They are all available on our new reports. And let's jump in and actually take a look at our new reports now and bring those to life and just showcase some of those favorite features from those old reports, so you are rest assured that you can still do those on our new reports. Heading back then to Xero, and we're going to take a look at selecting different formats for the profit and loss. So we'll open up our profit and loss report, which I have favorited there. Now, when it comes to common formats or different formats for the profit and loss, what you will notice is that you can choose from a selection of common formats using the collapsible panel on the left. So we can click that panel on the left-hand side and we can see some common formats here, such as the budget variance. That allows and compares actual figures to your budgeted figures and to show a variance amount and percentage. Now, as before, the green and red arrows indicate favourable and unfavourable changes. So let's jump in and actually have a look at that. And here we can see those green and red arrows nice and clearly shown there. And now if you add a variance column, as you can see there, to other reports, you will also see these arrows. We also have the current and previous 3 months, which provides that monthly comparison. And I'm hoping that you'll see there, but that by using some of these common formats, it's as simple as clicking a button, clicking one of those formats, and you've totally transformed those reports. You haven't had to go in and change the report settings. We've made it even easier for you to work through and take a look at some of those formats. Another personal favorite of mine has to be the current financial year by month. And this shows how a business or how your business is performing each month of the financial year. And you can see that for this particular business, our financial year runs from the 1st of January right up to the 31st of December. And we can see month on month a comparison and how we're tracking. And then finally, there is also a month to date comparison. And this will show your business how it's performing so far this month, and will then compare that with the same period in the past 3 months. Really great for seasonal businesses, those who have seasonal trends. It's a really great way of just comparing, okay, so for the last, let's say 14 days of the month, what's those first 2 weeks looking like month on month? Well, with one click of a button, we can see those there. And there are also a couple of others underneath. But one that I do want to call out is compare region. Now, this business operates in different regions, different locations. So this allows me to compare each location for the year to date. And we can see those there, and we can see so far the south location is on top at the moment. They are bringing in the most revenue from what we can gather from running this report here. And if you've saved any custom versions of the profit and loss before, then you'll be able to see your 5 recently updated custom reports in this panel as well. So you won't have to go looking for them elsewhere. They can all be found there in that collapsible column. Let's head back over to our standardized profit and loss then, and we'll minimize our common formats overflow there. And when it comes to choosing and comparing dates, it's really easy to do because you can select the arrow, use that drop-down menu to select from some common date ranges, or you can go ahead and choose your own date range. You can then go ahead and click into the date and use the calendar if you wish to, or you can just go ahead and choose one of the date entries there. Or you actually have the ability to simply type in your date. So for example, you could go ahead and enter in 6 months from now if you wanted to. But we're going to leave that as it is. But that's something that was heavily requested, and lots of feedback that we've had come through from there is around, well, I really want to be able to have that flexibility with those date ranges. But instead of you having to calculate and enter in the start and end date of a quarter or the financial year or the last month or the month to date, we've got those easily available to you from here. Another great thing that I love about our new reports is you've got those comparisons. So as I'm running this report for this quarter, I can compare that to the last 4 quarters if I wanted to, or the previous quarter. I can filter this information by my tracking categories. Now, just out of curiosity, how many of you are using tracking categories in Xero or have clients using tracking categories? Just a raise of hands, or let me know in the Q&A. Fantastic. Quite a few hands going up there. Now, you will have already seen, I've just shown you that from that menu on the left-hand side, you can run a compare region or compare properties. Whatever the name of your tracking category is, it'll show as compare and then your tracking category name. Fantastic. Lorna's just stated that they use fee earners for sales. Brilliant, Lorna. So you would be able to see a report here that would show compare fee earners. You could run that report and easily see the revenue generated from each of those fee earners regarding the sales and much more. But if you don't wish to do that comparison report, you can come in here and just think, actually, you know what, for this quarter or for this period that I'm looking at, I'd like to run it for a certain location, certain property, certain fee earner, in relation to Lorna's example there, and so much more. And you'll also have that more icon where you can view different accounting basis, account codes, a big hit with everyone. Definitely one of my favorites is getting those account codes pulled through onto the reports, and a few other options as well. Now, the next thing that I want to demonstrate is, well, how do I look at adding any annotations or comments to provide extra information on a particular figure? Now, before I jump in and show you that, Donna's asked a great questions. I presume you need to have your chart of accounts all set before you can run regional reports. So Donna, of course, the key step is getting those chart of accounts all set up correctly so that when you are entering income and any expenditure, you have the relevant chart of account codes needed and required. And then once you have, let's say, reconciled the bank and you're all up to date, you've accounted for all of that income and expenditure for the business, then is a great time to start running your reports. So Christine, you don't have compare regions on your software. Do I need an update? No, not at all, Christine. Not everyone will have compare regions or a compare tracking categories report. If you haven't set up tracking categories, then you will not have that option. I am also using the demo company for today's example, as it's full of that fictitious data and full of information that I can demonstrate to you all today. So let's take a look then about how you can add comments to provide any information on a particular figure. And there's a couple of ways that you can do this. Firstly, you can add an annotation right next to the figure, as you can see here. We can, down at the bottom, select Insert Content and enable Add Note. We can then simply hover over a figure, and as you can see here, we can go ahead and add a note. It might be that the sales total is higher by 7.5% month on month this financial year. And we can select done, and that will now add a footnote at the bottom. So for anyone looking at this report on screen, they can then go in, click into that note to view it, and the notes also display on reports when you export them. So fantastic if you're running a report and you do notice that there are some, maybe increases or decreases, or you're thinking, oh gosh, our consulting and accounting is looking quite low this month. I wonder why. You could add a note against that, and it may be to reach out to advisor to see if we are missing, if I can spell today. Oh gosh, still can't. There we go. Oh no. Right, about the 5th time lucky. There we go. If we are missing any purchase bills. So when you're entering these annotations, these notes, when you export that into a PDF or an Excel spreadsheet, if you are then sharing that with people in the business or with your clients, then you've got those notes readily available there for you. So those are just a few features of the new reports that match some of the most popular features from the old reports. But the new reports allow you to do so much more. And we are going to take a look at some of those features that are unique to the new reports. We've already had a sneak preview of the new profit and loss report, and I hope you agree with me. It's looking much more modern, and the functionality is far more advanced than what we had in our old reports. So let's take a look then at some of those extra features that are not in the old reports. Now, I said earlier that the main reason Xero created the new reports was your feedback. You told us that you wanted more flexibility around reporting and more ability to tailor reports to your business. And some of those powerful customization features in new reports are, for example, more options to group accounts. So you're able to group accounts together, including renaming groups, moving their position in a report, and showing or hiding group totals. You can now add page breaks, formulas, extra columns. You can reorder and sort columns. You can add schedules, and you can rename reports. So let's jump back into Xero then and actually take a look at some of these features. So here we are back at the profit and loss report that we took a look at earlier and added some customization to. And you saw how easy it was to customize it in simple ways. Well, now let's look at taking things a step further and tailor a report in a specific way. So firstly then, let's say that, you know, as we can see, we're viewing that standardized profit and loss, which will be for this current month, as we can see here. But let's say that I want to compare this month that I'm currently in with the previous month. Well, I can select compare with and compare with 1 month and click update. And I can now see March versus April. And you can easily rename this report by simply clicking into the report title and maybe just popping in here, monthly variance. So now let's open the edit layout button at the bottom and customize the report some more. So right down on the bottom left-hand corner, we can select edit layout. Now, before we make any more changes, let's preview what the PDF looks like as it is. We can see at the very top, we have the ability to export to PDF. We'll click that and we'll open up that PDF document just to see what the report looks like. And so far, so good. And there you can see our notes that we have previously added. But let's say, for example, your report spills over 2 pages. Well, if that's the case, you may want to add a page break, and I'll show you how we can do that. Heading back over then to our profit and loss, it might be that you wish to add a page break underneath gross profit. So we can select gross profit and then click the item or icon, should I say, at the top of the page and click and add a page break immediately below that line. So that then means on the first page, we are just viewing our income and our cost of sales to then show us our gross profit. And then on the following page, we have a breakdown of our other income and operating expenses. But let's say when we are viewing this report, we think it would be really good to know what our gross profit is as a percentage of income. So we're going to go ahead and add a gross profit percentage formula. So we are going to, at the top, click the rows icon. So we're going to click the row icon and we're going to select formula. And this will appear at the very bottom of the screen, but that's fine because we can just drag this row up to sit exactly where we want it. And now on the right-hand side, we can complete the formula here. All we need to do is select insert and do that calculation. So our gross profit divided by our trading income times 100. And we'll give this row a heading, which is gross profit percentage. And we've now added that in there. Now we'll see this report very shortly, but before we do that, let's group some expenses. Now, as we're looking through our operating expenses, I've noticed that we have travel international and travel national. Well, I would like to show any travel on one line. So I would be able to select both of those like so. And on the right-hand side, do group selection. They're now sitting in this group. On the right-hand side, we're going to go ahead and give this group a name, and we're just going to pop that as travel. And you can now see that I can have that split out if I wish to see travel international and travel national, or I can just click on that arrow and I've now got a total amount showing for that. And if, for example, there are any other chart of accounts that we think actually we want to include and group those into travel, then we could go ahead and locate a chart of account, and we can simply drag that into the group like so. But let's pop that back. There we go. But you can see just how easy it is to do that. And whenever you add or edit groups, make sure that you check your formulas are still correct. Check out the message about groups on the right, and then you can go ahead and see more information from here about editing report layouts. But I'd like to now further analyze this information. And I want to add a column. Now, you can add columns for all sorts of things: custom date ranges, budgets, formulas, note references, percentages, variances, and tracking categories. But let's say I want to add a variance column to see that monthly change. So again, from those icons at the top, we'll select columns and we'll hit or choose variance. Now I want to compare the variance between this month and last month. So for the first column, I will choose this month. And for the last column, or sorry, for the second column, I will choose last month. Now I can choose how I want to display this information or display this data in this column. Would I like to show those variances as a percentage? If so, I can select the tick box. And let's go and preview these changes. So we're going to go ahead and update this layout. And what you will now see is we've transformed this report even more. We have that monthly variance. I've got my gross profit percentage as shown here. I've got my variance column with those green and red arrows, and I've got my page break. So I've broken this down. And underneath, as you can see, our travel is split out. Now, if of course you wanted to change any of this information, you would be more than welcome to do so. It's as simple as heading back over to edit layout and making any of those changes necessary if you wish. You may think that actually when you're viewing that report, you don't want it having shown separate. So you just want to collapse that group, hit update layout, and we'll then just have one line on that report for travel, which is made up of those accounts that I've grouped together. But if I wanted that breakdown, then I could have that. Now, whilst we're here, another thing I wanted to highlight is this compact view at the bottom. So when you're viewing this report and you're thinking, yeah, this report looks just how I wanted, it's got all of that information in there. If you want to view more lines on the screen, you can select compact view, and that just keeps the font the same size, but it actually just reduces the spacing between those lines. So again, that is just a personal preference, but if you would like to see more information on the screen, then you are able to do compact view. As I know that for some reports, they are going to be pages and pages long. Now, you can, of course, go ahead and export this report. If you'd like to, you can export this as a PDF. So you can export it as a PDF if you wish. You can export it as a styled PDF, and we can go ahead and just ensure that the styling is what we have suggested and go ahead and get that exported. But for us, let's just export this as a standardized PDF for today's purpose. And here we have that page split. So first things first, we can see that we've got a note, we can see those arrows, and I can see my gross profit percentage. But I've got that page split and I've got those notes just beneath. Now, if you find that you are using this report on a regular basis and you think instead of having to create this over and over again, you're able to save this as a custom report. So when we go ahead and save this as a custom report, we don't have to process and do this every time. We can go ahead and just run this report as and when we wish. If we wanted to, we could make this the default profit and loss report for all users in this organization if we want, but I'm not going to worry because I still want to be able to run a standard profit and loss, but I, however, would like to run this once a month as well. So I'm going to go ahead, save that as a custom report. And when I head back over to my report summary page, you will see that I'm still able to run our standard profit and loss whenever I wish, but I can also select custom and run that monthly variance. Now, if you as well use those reports a lot, then it's a really good idea to favorite those reports. So as you can see, I've already favorited some of my favorite reports here, but if that custom report is also a favorite report of mine, to favorite a report, all you need to do is click that star and it will now add that to your favorites, which you are able to view from that custom tab like so. Now, so far, we've just looked at the profit and loss report, and the way that you can customize this is very similar for other financial style reports, such as the balance sheet and the cash summary. Now, transactional style reports like the account transactions and payables and receivable reports work very differently. So transactional style reports are arranged in a table format. And let's go and open up the account transactions report and just take a quick look at how you can customize that. Now, firstly, you can choose what accounts to show. So for now, I'm just going to select sales. We can choose the date range. I'm going to leave that as this month, and everything else is looking all okay. So when we click update, I'll be able to see all of our sales transactions for this month, as you can see. You'll also notice that there are a number of different columns displayed by default, but you can change that really easily. You can go ahead and select the columns heading at the top. And let's say I want to remove the credit and debit as well as the running balance. And I'd now like to show the contact. I may wish to show the net, potentially the related account, as well as my region, which is in regards to the tracking category that I have set up. So now that I have the information that I want, so when I hit update, I can easily reorder those columns if I wish. All I need to do is hit reorder columns, and then it's as simple as just dragging and dropping that information. So I might want the contact in front of the date. Everything else is looking okay, and I can hit apply, and I can now see that information in a format that works for me. You can also group or summarize this information if you'd like to. So you have grouping and summarizing at the top, and it might be that I want to group by the region, and I can select that. So I'm now able to see the grouping for each of my regions or tracking categories that I have set up. And you can filter this information as well if you'd like to. You have that ability to filter it by, however you wish, by the account, so the different columns, and so much more. So I'd really recommend just having a play around with these reports here. So questions come through from Linda. Can you put a page break on this report? Unfortunately, Linda, you can't. You're unable to pop a page break on this report, I'm afraid, as we don't have the ability to edit the layout of this report because of it being a table style format. However, hopefully by using those grouping or summarizing functionality, that will allow you to put it into groups and formats, which will kind of make it easier to consume that information. So we've had a great question come through from Harriet. What is a related account? So the related account is simply the other side of the entry. So when we've raised a transaction in Xero, as we're looking at sales transactions, we're expecting to see that the related accounts are our accounts receivable and our VAT or sales tax accounts. So great question. Thank you. So then, heading out of our account transactions report then, you will have seen earlier that on some of our other reports, so our profit and loss, we could add notes. Again, you're able to do that from this report as well. As you can see, I'm just hovering over some sections. I can add some notes like so, but do make sure that you select that insert content and ensure that enable add note is selected. But again, we have that collapsible side menu here where we can view other common formats. So bank transactions by date, basic account transactions. I'd really recommend just familiarizing yourself with some of those common formats because it's going to save you a whole heap of time. So then, heading back over to our slides, what are some of the next steps for you? Well, as you know, in July 2023, we are retiring our old reports. So make sure you get that date in the diary if you are using any of our old reports. They are showing and surfacing up to you in Xero that they are being retired on that report summary screen. So try and migrate over to those new reports as soon as you can. There's so much more flexibility in them, and it just takes some getting used to. You know, no one likes change, but I promise you it is positive change, and it's change for the better. Now, if you are still using some of those old reports, or you need to keep any published old reports, then what does this mean for you? Well, as I've said, if you haven't started using the new reports yet, we recommend you do so. It's the best way to learn, and we've just shown you that they're really easy to use, and there's so much that, you know, there's a lot more flexibility to them than the older reports. There's loads of resources available to you as well. And we have a really useful playlist of reporting videos that will help you transition over from old reports to new reports. So I'm going to share that link out with you all now. So that is appearing there in your chat box. And if I just open that up for you, as you can see here, we have an entire I suppose, YouTube channel full of plenty of videos. And as you can see here, they're only short. We've taken a look at quite a lot of this already today, but make sure you have a look at this information. We've taken a look at the layout editor to customize reports, so be sure to check that out. Heading back then over to our slides, I'm just going to remove that. What you will find is that another great next step for you is to just remember that that you do still have read-only access to your published old reports. Now, unfortunately, my slides seem to have disappeared. The joys. So let me just go and locate them very quickly, as I am not too sure where they have decided to hide. The joys of a live demo. But as I said, we've already covered a lot of some of those, you know, new and improved reports. But the best way to learn is to just jump right in and have a play around with them. That's how I find that I learn the best. If you're anything like me, then hopefully you'll agree. By jumping in and doing it for yourself, then that's how you'll feel more confident and comfortable with those changes to the reports. And the final thing then that I also want to share, and I can see that a couple of you have actually already asked questions about this, which is brilliant because you're one step ahead of me. And that is that, what if you're using a custom layout in an old profit and loss, let's say, or balance sheet report? How am I able to sort of convert that into the new reports? Well, we have created a really easy way for you to do that, and I'm going to show you that right now. So what we are going to do is, if we head back over into Xero, let's go and locate our old profit and loss, because I have an old profit and loss which my client or my business absolutely loves, and it's all regarding summarizing their expenditure. Here we have it. So here is my old profit and loss layout that I created and I customized a while ago. And let's just take a look at that. And you can see here that I've got, our bank charges and interest. I've got my legal and professional. I've got my office expenses, travel. Now, this is brilliant. I don't want to lose this format, nor do I want to have to go ahead and, go and create that, again. So what you'll find is from inside the old report, if you click Try New Report Version, this will open up a new profit and loss report. You'll notice that the tips and tricks panel is showing on the right-hand side. And if you do have an old report layout that you want to apply to the new report, what you are able to do is go ahead and actually bring those across. You can see that that's currently not showing there, but if I select tips and tricks, we can bring layouts from older versions. So hopefully, Elizabeth, this will answer your question. We can select layout, and then from there, I can choose my layout. So here we have my summary expenses, select next. I'm going to save this as a custom report. So I've got my name in there as summary expenses. That's not going to change. And when we go ahead and save this as a custom report, I'm now able to see that I've converted that layout that I created previously for my old reports, and that is now showing as a custom report in the new report style. And it's as simple as that. Now, remember, you can find all of these custom reports from within the custom column of your report summary screen. We can see that there. And your any recently updated custom reports as well in those side panels. So then, that is it for today. A massive thank you for being here. Please remember, go and check out those videos on our YouTube playlist to see many of those reporting features in more detail. But the best way to get familiar with the new reports is to jump in and start using them.